To create his dystopian masterpiece, George Orwell had his pen and his words. I have PowerPoint and sort of little clickable boxes. But mine has 8 different endings, so who's really the genius here? Funnily enough, I am far from the first person to use PowerPoint to create a full video game experience. I came across this video recently which does an excellent job at creating a game that doesn't feel like a PowerPoint at all. My issue with it, and I'm using issue very loosely here, is that it could be created much more easily in just a normal game engine. Of course, it's super impressive, but it doesn't actually utilize the PowerPoint format. I very much like the idea of a game that seems to be constrained to a certain game loop by the medium, but then subverts the player's expectations. So I did that. And in 500 slides, I'm not just aiming to answer the question, can PowerPoint be scary, but can PowerPoint create an eerie dystopian world? And also, who is Dr. Steve? Now, a very small proportion of the people watching this video will know that yes, I have done this before, but to those very few people know that this time I've stepped it up a level. And yes, that was my first video, and since then I've published a bunch of completely different types of videos, and now I'm going back to it because I want to. So what makes an effectively made eerie dystopian world, especially in a video game context, and what is feasible to do within PowerPoint? First of all, for my dystopia, I wanted to zero in on something, like how the Terminator used fear of AI and technology to create its dystopia. So taking a modern day fear and making it into a worst case scenario. For my game, I went through a bunch of different ideas, but I settled on the concept of political oversimplification, which I will explain more later. Secondly, of course, is world building. How am I going to show my premise manifesting itself in everyday life? Thirdly, I'm going back to my old PowerPoint pillars of horror and snagging 2 points from there: verisimilitude and mystery. Verisimilitude will be doing half the work for the eerie atmosphere I'm going for. Basically, I want to use the expectations that people have of PowerPoint to create a standard game loop and then mix that up, hopefully in some fun and inventive ways. Mystery is slightly more difficult. Every good dystopian story needs that smaller scale character story within the wider world to ground it. But for my game, I also want to slowly reveal the narrative of the wider world, owing to point number 3, to the player. So a good mystery for the personal side to keep it engaging, and a good mystery for the overall narrative because of the PowerPoint format. So these are my 5 goals that I hope will culminate into a game which has, or at least resembles, a spooky dystopian vibe. Like I say, it will be difficult. You know, George Orwell had his words, Terry Gilliam had his cinematography, I have my little clickable boxes, but I believe in those boxes. In my last PowerPoint video, I made a little tutorial at the start explaining how to make a game like that for yourself in PowerPoint, but this one is far less technically complicated. Basically, I'm using the actions feature to make things, usually PowerPoint stock icons or transparent boxes, able to be clicked in order to change slides. But trust me, with that, you can do some pretty cool stuff. So here we are with a blank PowerPoint file. How the hell am I getting to this point? First of all, we need 2 things: the idea for the dystopian story and the style of PowerPoint game which will hide and contain that story. My worst case scenario is inspired by the newspeak of Orwell's 1984. In Orwell's novel, the totalitarian party INGSOC implements a simplified version of English to try and reduce people's critical thinking and therefore control the population. I've always thought that the political labels we use are reminiscent of this. Explaining why a political opponent's policies are worse than yours is pretty hard, but just calling them a socialist or a communist is a lot easier. Hitler did it, Mussolini did it, and we're still doing it today. It's natural in some ways, but also quite dangerous. Imagine in the future there's this leader of a very powerful country who has simplified everyone's identities down into 3 distinct categories: people who agree with him, people who disagree with him, and the rest. And as per the dystopian cliche handbook, a mysterious war justifies extreme measures taken to enshrine this categorization into law, including with an immigration test. That's kind of interesting, right? Now, for the PowerPoint minigame, which will be the smoke and mirrors to hide the real story behind, I was thinking, what is the most basic form of interactive PowerPoint game that you can get? Even more basic than one of those little cursor mazes. It has to be the classic, a quiz. So thinking loosely about how I want to connect this to the real story, I came up with this menu screen. It's as standard as possible, kind of like a simplified version of Dr. Kawashima's Brain Games. Shout out to all my Nintendo DS Lite users. If you click onto instructions, you get these toggles that you can't actually affect, and if you click onto settings, you get the basic premise of the game.
Dr. Steele is back. This time, Steele wants to know you personally. Answer multiple choice questions to determine your personality type. Remember, Steele hates when you disagree with it and will become very angry.
Don't make him angry. Keep track of things and don't guess.
Hopefully that makes sense. It's a personality quiz, but you can't choose what you prefer, you have to choose what the mysterious Dr. Steele prefers. I think that's a fun idea for a game. And for the first question, I wanted something as easy as possible. What is your favorite color? To figure this out, click on his name tag and you can see that he's set his color preference to red, and voila, the correct answer is red. Well done. You might be thinking that this kind of gimmick will get old very quickly, and that's what I thought until I came up with boom. This is the main way that everything will be fed to the player. Personal mystery, dystopian mystery, world building, everything. I think this is a pretty cool feature. Like, you start off playing a very basic PowerPoint quiz and you end up logged onto this old Windows computer. And what is contained within these files? Well, for the next section, let's find out. This might sound very silly, but here is your official spoiler warning. The link to play the game will be in the description. If it doesn't work, that means either you're 6 weeks too late or my university PowerPoint account has expired. So I'm going to be playing through a specific, line ending 8, but there are 7 other endings that you can play through. But I really recommend that you go and play it first, because that's how it's. What the hell? I can't talk. Just. First there is darkness, then memories flashing before your eyes. Then, suddenly, you are staring at a computer screen reading Dr. Steele's personality quiz. Initially, you don't understand, but then you answer some questions. You must answer according to what the game deems correct, what Dr. Steele deems correct. First, his favorite color, then his least favorite animal, then his favorite face. Then, the fourth question reads, which would you rather lose? Your heart, an ear, a foot, your mouth, an arm, or your nose? You click onto the computer icon and find it password locked, but a post-it tells you that questions 1 to 3 have the code. So you click 3, then 6, then 5, and you're greeted with a computer home screen. Most files are encrypted, but you find this one in a folder entitled Poems.
You cannot take my feet, I need them to walk to all the places I don't want to go. You cannot take my ears, I need them to hear all the people in my life I despise so. You cannot take my mouth, I need it to speak, nothing at all to no one, deliberate and slow. You cannot take my nose, I need it to smell the scent of death as it draws close. You cannot take my arms, I need them to hit the wall again and again and watch my blood flow. Take my heart, I don't need it to feel, I feel nothing, no sense or joy or material, no.
Okay, yes, I did actually try to write poetry for this game. Some might say it sucks, but I say art is subjective. Unnerved, you answer heart. You continue answering questions, some based off the personal notes file, some based off the transaction history file, including the question about storing wealth in gold. But on that question, a syringe pops up next to Dr. Steele. Clicking on it, you see that you can match this substance to one written out in the personal notes file. This file is written by someone describing the characteristics of a figure named Pompey, seemingly a personal advisor of sorts. You can't remember whether this advisor was you or someone else. Whoever it is, they're describing a year-long project relating to a virus of some kind and a medical cure. At the moment, the end of the file reads, "Why is he so sick?" The next question requires you to recognize what the substance in the syringe is treating. You click head. A few more questions later, you have the question, which is blind? The answer is difficult to find until you come across this poem.
A spider that is squashed does not die, it is squashed. A dove that is taken does not rot, it thrives. The rest are cattle, herded and blind. A cow does not die, it feeds, it falls so others can rise. If a spider finds warmth in a cow's coat, then the cow is a spider. If a dove perches on a bull's horns, the cow may be a dove. Only the praetor can decide. Do you understand? You are cattle, remain a cow and be led, become a spider and be squashed, or become a dove and be loved. I decide. Answer, and I decide.
So the cow is blind? This poem makes you wonder what it is truly about. It seems to not be written by Pompey, but by the advisor. Perhaps this advisor is Dr. Steele. Perhaps not. Whoever it may be, they are using cows, doves, and spiders as a metaphor for something larger, something more important. The personal notes file now mentions that this cure will be distributed in some southeastern region, expressing concerns about the Senate, but not about the majority population. The next few questions are similar, and you refer back to poems and notes. Then, question 14 happens, and this icon pops up on screen.
Messages tab opens up and the person on the other end seems to be implying that you lost your memory somehow. All they tell you is that you need to find the KDC, which has actually been mentioned in the personal notes file before this. An error pops up and the messages disappear. Now you're starting to think that you might be a part of something much, much bigger. Question 15 is normal. Question 16 is this. In personal notes, you can see that distrust has been growing between the author of these notes and the person they call Pompey.
Perhaps I want to stop him, even if it means braving a storm. Perhaps I want to help him, steer him towards true justice. Perhaps I am cattle, and I should do nothing.
So this is the big choice in the game. And I'm going to pause for a second and stop to show you this sick-ass flowchart. As you can see, up to this point, there's only been one possible way of getting an ending, and that is getting a question after question 9 wrong. After question 16, that's when everything gets real. At least down the spider route, because no, I haven't actually finished the other 2 parts yet, but I will get there. If you decide to be the rebel and take the spider route, then there's quite a few ways the game can end up.
First, there are some fairly normal questions. Question 17 is favourite continent, which reveals to you that the locations folder has been decrypted, showing some control centres in different locations, some familiar and some slightly changed, and then the distribution centres, including the key distribution centre, KDC. All the others have locations attached, but this one is password locked. You know, despite all the uncertainty, that this is the key to the mystery unraveling before you. You continue answering questions. Question 19 asks you to name your least favourite out of what look to be organisations. Cited in transaction history, you recognise some of the names, including We Are Spiders. They were also named in personal notes, where the author, the advisor, had been in contact with them.
Far from their tone in the beginning, whoever this is now seems extremely worried for their own safety.
Then, on question 20, where every possible answer is now text instead of those icons, you receive another message.
Okay, I've been trying to decrypt your old notes as much as possible, but they're catching up and redoing it all. We don't have much time.
What?
I get it, but we have the most important person to him here, his first dove. As soon as we shut down the KDC, we can move ahead. Don't answer question 21, get the KDC code, and get the location.
Who am I?
Former advisor to President Dominic Steele, but ICE doesn't know that yet. I'll get to work decrypting more files, answer the question, then get it done.
So, there you go. You are the advisor who presumably used to own this very computer account. They are your notes, and President Dominic Steele is the leader of a nation at war, and for some reason ICE is after you. It's really hard to tell at this point how much of the story is actually clear to the player. If you played the game, or even if you're just watching this video, please let me know in the comments how much you actually grasped by this point. I didn't make this game in a very linear way, so some stuff might be too obvious or not obvious enough, I don't know. At this point it's pretty clear that this is taking place in a future version of America with a person called Steele as its leader, but why? What is your goal? What is the virus and what is the cure? Yeah, it's not that hard to figure out.
It's an orgasm, guys. So.
Does anyone have a concept of the story? Of what's going on in the story?
Dr. Steele used to be president. We're reading his notes, trying to find the link between him and something.
Okay, anyone else got anything?
Anyone else got any better answers? He doesn't like spiders.
He said, I need to contact the spider people.
The We Are Spiders people.
Yeah.
Fuck with them. It's not meant to be easy to actually figure out what's going on. It's meant to be like one of those things where you actually have to like...
Go into the law.
Yeah.
From a couple of hints, you know that the most important day for Steele is the day he met his first dove. In certain paths, you'd know her name as well.
comment if you managed to figure out her name.
Most likely, it's either someone that he was in love with or someone who inspired his ideology. The next question is about games. It's very simple, just check the transaction history and you can see that Steele has subsidized poker tournaments.
Not a great use of government funds, but go off, I guess.
But there's something else in that file. The KDC access code has been corresponded to POTUS's personal PIN code.
Therefore, logically, it must be time for a...
We know the KDC access code is the same as Steele's personal code. We also know that Steele changed his personal code to match to an important date. And we know that the most important date for him was the day that he met his first dove. So we need to find the correct date. In the recently decrypted doves folder, we can see a bunch of files named after specific locations, all mostly censored, but containing the first part of each date. In the personal notes file, it is implied that Steele met her in the New Salvador Control Center. Therefore, if we match the location of that listed in the locations folder, we can pinpoint which file is hers. Once we do that, we know the day part, the third. In the poems folder, there is a recently decrypted file called My Doves, where the first stanza mentions that he described the day he met her in another poem called The Rain Will Come. Clicking onto that file, we see that he describes their meeting as happening under April showers, so the date is 0304.
I know my audience is mostly American, which was a real shock to me to learn, so apologize, but I am using the correct date format.
Don't answer this one. PlayStation.
Oh wait. 5, 3,
I'm just
6, 6.
But then there's a plus as well.
5, 3.
8 plus 12, 20.
Oh wait, or is it 5 over 3?
Guys, what gave you the idea that the answer to that passcode was from the pictures?
I don't know, common sense. 5, 3, 4, 6, 6, 8. But that bet is way more complicated.
Well, I would look in the computer.
2 trillion plus 20 million.
Can we please stop adding
So the date is 0304. Entering that into the KDC file, we get the location. And right on cue, a message pops up.
Do you have the location? We need it now.
Am I safe?
No.
This is it.
This is essentially your final challenge, or one of a few final challenges you can get depending on what choices you've made. Story-wise, there are clearly boats transporting something to mainland America. Hopefully it's obvious, and the people you're in contact with are trying to stop them. Maybe it's these guys. It is those guys. Since you're in the system, you can memorize the routes, but you don't have long before ICE figures out what you're doing. So once you know which boats go where and in which order they arrive, a final message comes through.
Once you log off, you must escape the immigration center.
Hello? Are you there? Oh, thank God. We weren't sure if you'd made it out. You safe? Okay. I hope you remember the ship routes because we're on the verge. You do remember them, right? Good. Talk to Parker.
Another voice comes through.
This is Parker. Do you read me? Alright, we have a few people out there on the water already. I'm going to need you to answer some questions for them.
For the next few minutes, you must answer questions based off the boat routes that you memorized. Where is Dreamweaver going? Will boats arrive at Savannah or Wilmington first? Which boat is going to Miami? Depending on whether you answer wrong or right, there are a couple endings that you can get, but I'm going to show you what I believe is the truest ending.
If you answer all questions correctly, final transmission, virus contained, mission successful.
We've done it. You've done it. You saved tens of thousands of lives. President Steele was going to release a virus. He wants people like us dead. We stopped the virus for now, but he will not stop. He's no longer just reckless, he is deranged. We will need your help. We can send a boat to take you away, but if you stay, we have more of a chance.
You pause and then say resolutely, I'll stay.
Now, I stuck to showing you the bare minimum for this run, but there's a whole bunch of stuff that I didn't include, didn't have time to include, like, other notes, other poems, other files, etc. Obviously, there's no possible way I could go through all of that in this video, Or can I?
No, I can't. I'm not going to reveal any of the lore of the game like I said I was going to, because first of all, it's still unfinished, low-key, because I haven't done those two other paths, and there's a lot more stuff I could add, which I might in the future. This was more of a prototype for the YouTube video. It'd be really cool if the people who watch this video can maybe try and figure out in the comments. That would be sick, but I'm just going to go through my friend's playtest and show some sections, and then I'll do a bit more personal stuff at the end. So, in terms of the worst case scenario, there was some acknowledgement of the categorization of doves, cattle and spiders, but there wasn't much mention of the fact that they are metaphors. And in terms of question 16, which is the pivotal moment, no one understood what it was asking, which is clearly a problem with the game.
Oh, he said Bravestorm. He said he wants justice. He said I am cattle.
Alright, well,
the
really,
point was there was like a choice between three parts.
I mean, the thing people latched onto the most was my spelling errors.
What do you mean despise? Oh, it's meant to be despise?
Yeah.
Oh.
The church.
I'm going to give this a 2-star rating on Steam.
World building was definitely the weakest element. People mostly read the computer and the personal notes file only in relation to the question they were looking to answer, not trying to uncover the whole story. And it doesn't help that people sometimes forgot what question they were answering anyway.
Wait, hang on, I kind of forgot what the question is in the first place.
We've got to look for the code.
Verisimilitude is an interesting one to me because it was effective, but only because people found it really fun and really exciting.
Oh, what?
Wait, don't press play
This is
yet.
so fun!
This was not the spooky vibe I was going for, but I'm actually very happy with how it turned out because it made the game very engaging. Mystery is an interesting one because there were certainly attempts to try and figure out what was going on.
Wait, he's in ice, Dr. Steele.
Oh, right.
Not in ice.
He's connected to he's a whistleblower.
Who knows?
Unfortunately, I'd say personal mystery and seeing where the main character fits into the world was much more effective than the wider world mystery.
Hey, I thought we hate spiders.
Oh shit, there's so many different...
Mr. Steele. We're not Mr. Steele. He hates spiders.
No. What?
So are we a spider?
Are
We
we
chose
part,
to be a spider
are we
in
part
the
of
question.
We are
We are spider, yeah.
So my ranking would go number 1 is personal mystery, number 2 is worst case scenario, number 3 is verisimilitude, number 4 is the wider world mystery, and number 5 is world building. If I'm going to answer the question, can PowerPoint create a spooky dystopian world, I would say the answer is yes. However, I don't think this is the right project for that yet. Much more interested in being a puzzle game, and I don't think I took it far enough to create a real world, but maybe in the future I will work on that. Thank you very much for watching this video. Just wanted to let everyone know who's interested. I know this isn't the type of video that has gained me most of my subscribers recently, so I appreciate whoever you are watching it right now. I will be back with Bioshock 2 video, Bioshock Infinite video, and another We Happy Few video for the future of this channel. For anyone who's interested, I don't want to go down the route of making the same videos over and over again. So I've really enjoyed doing the We Happy Few and the Bioshock videos, but I've also really enjoyed doing this PowerPoint video, which is very different to those videos. So I'll still be playing the long story mode games that I can talk about themes and stuff, but I do want to mix my content up and I want to make different videos that have my personality in. Hopefully there'll be some of you along for that. Thank you for watching. Don't subscribe, just like and comment. I don't want subscribers, I don't care. And yeah, I'm gonna go watch the new episode of The Boys. Thank you very much for watching.